go on Netflix right now, as you can see here, Netflix has created a new genre, if you would say, the Black Lives Matter genre. And I've noticed, especially over the last couple of weeks, when when all of these protests and boycotts have been going on, that there have been different companies and corporations that have joined into this marketing. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Gary Reshaw Presents, here only on Patreon. I know it's been a while, and let me just say to my patrons, I apologize for not doing some videos sooner. I've just been tied up and busy with work, and I've had other projects that I've been doing, so that's the reason why you haven't seen me on here too often. But I came on here and wanted to do this video because I thought it was important. Now, of course, when you hear the word Black Lives Matter, just like I had, and of course this goes back all the way to 2014, I remember with Michael Brown when he was shot. And I can also remember in 2012 when we were dealing with the Trayvon Martin situation. And of course, Black Lives Matter, the premises of helping, and just that name, of course, Black lives do matter. That's not to say that all lives don't matter, but it is black people in this country who are marginalized. It is black people in this country that have been treated like crap. It is black people in this country that were brought over here, descended from Africans, although we are mixed with different with different hair backgrounds and blood groups, from Native Americans to French and Spanish slave owners and so forth. That has happened. However, I'm a black man in America. If I was dealing with being pulled over by the cops, they certainly wouldn't classify me as Caucasian like Tiger Woods thinks he is. But neither here nor there, you see this new genre that Netflix has put up, and I actually put this on my Facebook wondering if I was wrong for thinking that this is just something that they're trying to market and make money off of. And I have that feeling just because I know how marketing works, and I know right now things like this are very touchy and popular right now. Everybody is talking about what's going on in the world, what's going on with the George Floyd murder, and understandably so. We all should be concerned about that. But I also think that this is part of a larger conspiracy, basically to make money off of the backs of black people, like they've always done. Because when you hear stories, for instance, like Great American Bank, or I think it's Bank One, if I'm not mistaken, Great American Bank, that they're pledging billions of dollars to give to the cause of social justice, you got to ask yourself, well, who is getting that money? What groups are getting that money? Because social justice and racial reform, there are different minority groups that will classify under that. Does that specifically apply to black people? And that's something we've got to ask ourselves. But getting back on Netflix, the reason why I brought this up too, I'm talking about Black Lives Matter, is because of this. Now, I don't know if many people have actually gone to the Black Lives Matter website. And I have. Now, this is just an abbreviation of the about of what Black Lives Matter is, and you can read it here and go to their website. A lot of people haven't, but one of the things that they talk about is we affirm the lives. Of course, they're talking about being an expansive movement about ensuring prevalence in black communities, and we must move beyond a now nationalism that is all too prevalent in black communities. We must ensure we are building a movement that brings all of us to the front. Okay, that sounds great, but then they start adding other stuff into this, including the following: we affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folk, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within black liberation movements. Well, if the black liberation movement has been marginalized in and of itself, then who inside of that are you saying has been marginalized? because black, straight, heterosexual African American men have been targeted in this country because we're deemed as a threat. As men, we are deemed the more, the more, I won't say the more aggressive. I don't think that's an appropriate word, but we are certainly seen as super predators, and that pun is intended. And I'm saying that, of course, because we've coming up in an election year. You guys figure out the rest, what's going on. But this is what they believe. Okay, so this is more detailed than the previous page. That was the about. This is the what we believe. Okay. The Black Lives Matter Global Network, and this is in Canada, this is here in the United States, it's here in Canada, and it's in the United Kingdom. It says, the Black Lives Matter Global Network is as powerful as it is because of our membership, our partners, our supporters, our staff, and you. Our continued commitment to liberation for all black people means we are continuing the work of our ancestors in fighting for our collective freedom because it is our duty. Every day we recommit to healing ourselves and each other and to co-creating alongside comrades, allies, and family a culture where each person feels seen, heard, and supported. We acknowledge, respect, and celebrate differences and commonalities. Okay? This is good. We work vigorously for freedom and justice for black people and by extension all people. We intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative and not depleting. We are unapologetically black in our positioning. In affirming that Black Lives Matter, we need not qualify our position. To love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a prerequisite for wanting the same for others. We see ourselves as part of the global black family, and we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as black people who exist in different parts of the world. We are guided by the fact that all Black Lives Matter, regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status, or location. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are self-reflexive and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift black trans folk. Okay. This is the shit that gets me. This is where I stop at. What two battles are we, why are we making two battles out of all of this? If it's about black lives, then be about black lives. But now you're adding cisgender. I don't even know what the hell that means. If I'm not mistaken, cisgender basically means heterosexual. So heterosexual privilege. Okay. And uplift black trans, especially black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. Now, of course, I don't encourage violence on no group of people. But I know for a fact, most of these cases, and you can go look it up, it results not because a man finds out, a man just attacks someone because a person because they're transgender. It's because that person that they've been with, you know, they find out that they're lying and they hide it, and they go off. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but I understand as a man, you know, if I got lied to like that, there are men who will do that shit. You know, Lil Duval was even talking about that on the Breakfast Club, and they tried to make Lil Duval apologize for that. And Lil Duval was like, no, I ain't apologizing for that because I didn't say anything transphobic. But this is the type of crap we're dealing with where they want to force something onto you that has nothing to do with your struggle. Just listen to what else they say. We build a space that affirms black women and is free from sexism, misogyny, and environments in which men are centered. We practice empathy. We engage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context. We make our spaces family friendly, enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts so that they can mother in private, even as they participate in public justice work. Patriarchal practice. Okay, I see where they're getting at. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families. So already they're saying they do not believe in the traditional family unit. More specifically, when they say disrupt, that means they are antagonistic to the nuclear family structure of the father, mother, son, daughter, sister, brother. Supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. We foster a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, whatever that means, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual. Well, there wouldn't be any homosexuals without heterosexuals, so that's kind of redundant, but all right. We cultivate an intergenerational and communal network free from ageism. We believe that all people, this is the one that really caught my eye, okay? Look, we believe that all people, regardless of age, show up with the capacity to lead and learn. So, what that tells me, right then and there, you're saying children can lead and learn. Now, maybe I'm wrong for thinking this, but when you hear something like this, we cultivate an intergenerational and communal network free from ageism. We believe that all people, regardless of age, show up with the capacity to lead and learn. So you're basically saying a 5-year-old can lead a protest. Now, what I was getting at is, if you guys are following me, well, if a child can do something like that, what other things can a child learn? Can a child learn things about being an adult, or things that adults do? I mean, just looking at that, I may be wrong, and I'm man enough to admit if I'm wrong, but does that sound pedophilic? And I know I'm not the only one that thought this, because I listened to Judge Joe Brown's show. I listened to Dr. Short, Randy Short, who I had on my show earlier. Shout out to both of them. And we talked about this. I listened to them talk about this. Judge Joe Brown more so. That's why I don't get behind Black Lives Matter. You want to know why I don't go to protests and rallies too often? It's because of this. Now, I was at a protest recently in St. Bernard. I'm going to upload the video later tonight so everybody can take a look. But I'm cautious about supporting stuff like this. And you should be too. You know, our movement's already, we suffer enough already being black, first and foremost. Why do we need to convolute it with other people's struggles? You're mentioning undocumented immigrants. These are people that come over and get unearned benefits. Unearned benefits that you're fighting to get, that we don't have. And they get it automatically? You want that? You want competition? I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, this is not Gavin Richard that's saying that I don't believe other people can come over here and be in America. I'm not a xenophobe. Yeah, I support people that want to come over here and learn how to read and write and want to do the right things. They want to work, pay taxes, they want to be a contributing member to this society. I'm okay with that. What I am not okay with are that we, as a black community, convolute other people's struggles into ours. They want to do it, let them do it. Let them deal with it. When we take care of each other first and we can build something up, then maybe we can talk to them. But let's get our economic game going. And let's stop, please, with the anti-male rhetoric that all heterosexual men are bad. What is this shit? Look at this. Freed ourselves from the tight grip of the heteronormative thinking. I've never heard of this. I've never heard of homonormative thinking. This is ridiculous. Guys, don't be blind and follow somebody just because it's popular. Do your research. If anything you take away from this podcast, if anything you take away from this video, I want you all out there to please just do your research. You don't have to take Gavin Reshaw's name for it, my word for it. It's out there. The information is there. You just got to be willing to look at it. But this is why I don't get behind Black Lives Matter. And keep in mind, they're called Black Lives Matter Incorporated. So that's a corporation. You know, I've heard about George Soros funding this. You know, you always wonder, how do they get the money to do all of this? These are the ladies who funded it: Patrice Cullors, Alicia Garza, Opal Timote, and these are all lesbians, if I'm not mistaken. Just be careful what y'all support, man. Because they didn't convoluted it and turned it into something else. Shit. That's all I got for tonight, guys. Y'all have a good one.